Hello there people of the internet, my name is Owen and welcome to this brand new video here on Blurb. It's been probably about a month now since I made the last video here, in fact, on my 2018 Vauxhall Insignia B. Do you know what, guys, the reason why I haven't made any videos for the last couple of weeks is down to because I've had, well, a little holiday down at Liverpool. I've been enjoying the car, driving it around, having a few disappointments with the Corsa B. Especially with the smashed windscreens confirmed anyway. But anyways, guys, this is my Vauxhall Insignia 2018 1.6 diesel, and today we're going to do something a little bit differently. Usually when I buy a car like this, I will first of all do a dislike video, the things I dislike about this car. But today we're going to do the 5 top things that I like about this car and the 5 top things that I dislike about this car, all in this video. Now, first of all, guys, remember I've only had this car for probably about 2 months nearly now, so I haven't had the car that long. But in regards to what happened in my last dislike video where everybody was saying bad things about what I'm thinking of the car, and yeah, there's some things that I may not understand as of yet, but hopefully I've got the gist of it because I've been out in it nearly every other day. So anyways, guys, without no further ado, let's get into the video. So one of the things that I like about this car, first straight off the bat, is how gorgeous the car looks. So you've got your LED light strips, you've got some nice sweeping lines along the side, you've got your tinted rear windows, and how long this car is. On video, it doesn't give it enough justice, but it is such a gorgeous looking car. I've always liked these cars when they were first launched. In fact, I loved the Insignias when they first launched. I think my dad had the Insignia A 2010 when it was brand new and absolutely loved that car. And as you guys may or may not remember, I had a Vectra C. So the Vectra is... well, this car kind of reminds me of that, and I had some good memories with that car and some bad ones, but I miss the size of the car. So not only do I like the design of the car, but I also like the size of it, and I have missed the size of this car. So that's the first thing I love about this car, is how practical it is. Now let me show you what I mean in regards to the size in which I like. So you've got the boot, which opens via the griffin at the back, but the space at the back is enormous, and obviously if you're going to buy parts for, you know, like my Corsa, for example, this is going to haul a lot of stuff. And with it being a diesel, it's very, very economical for that, which at the moment I've just got bits and bobs thrown in here for work. But even if I had a family in future, you know, this car's going to last me a good 8 years, hopefully. By the time I pay it off as well, I'd probably be... well, I've only got 3-4 years till I pay it off anyway. But in regards to keeping it for 8 years, this will be perfect. I mean, look at the size you get in the back seats here. You know, you get a lot of leg space, a lot of headroom. Now, you do get a bit of a slope here with the headroom, but nothing that I mean, I'm a tall person, I'm not a short person by any means, but I can sit up straight in this car, no problem. They've definitely made an advancement from the old Insignias, that's for sure. But it's such a gorgeous looking car, and I love the colour. The colour's called Flip Chip Silver, but that is one of the things I like about the car, and that's the size of it and its practicality, all bundled into one reason why I like this car. The second thing I love about this car is just the way it drives. Now, I've driven this car for quite a bit now. I had it on 38,000 something odd miles. It's now on 41,000. Let me just turn the car on to confirm that for you guys. Let's just press this button. Should come up straight away. 41,430 miles. It's such a comfortable car to drive, and the reason why it's such a comfortable car to drive is you've got so many options to adjust your seat and just adjust where you are. So this is one of the many reasons why I like this car, is just because of how much adjustment you have to the seat. There's so much adjustment in the steering wheel. You've got your thigh supports here, you've got electronic seats which roll up and down, and then you've got your height adjuster here, but you've also got your lumbar support for the back here, which sort of pushes you back or not. or depending where your back is at your weakest point, you can adjust that. There's plenty of space going back and to on the seats to reach your pedals. It's such a lovely car to drive. The gears are so smooth on this, considering of what it is and the other Vauxhalls I've driven in previous times. This has to be the nicest gearbox I've driven in a Vauxhall for a very, very long time. The third thing I love about this car though is the fact you can connect your phone to the car itself. Now that's great. Now my Astra wouldn't do that. Some of the Astras would have done at the time, but I love the fact that you can connect your phone finally to the screen, which means your phone can just hide away in the armrest in this little holder here. Now I'll use my phone case as demonstration and just squeeze it in there, and it just sits in there whilst your phone is connected to the car, which is great, which means you don't have to look at your phone all the time. You don't have to have one of these magnets on the air vents, blocking the air vents, or even on the windscreen and impeding your vision. This is quite a nice feature, and I have all the time in the world for the touch screens. The third thing I like about this car has to be its engine. Now, first of all, before we even look at the engine, I have missed the fact that this has got hydraulics for the bonnet, so it stays open. But I chose this engine for a reason. A mate of mine has a 65 plate Astra, which I'm sure we'll put in another video at some stage. It's got the same engine as this. It used to be an X-Taxi, and it's got 203,000 miles on the clock. It's a 65 plate, and it drives probably just as well as this, if this has a little bit more power on it, which would be down to the gearbox if anything. But again, his car is, it's only 6-7 years old, and it's done 203,000 miles. The gearbox is smooth, the engine is smooth. He's done a few bits to it that made the car a little bit noisier, but bearing in mind that, you know, he does put his foot down most of the time, that car's still going with no bullshit incurred. That car is very, very good, and his MPG is not too bad either, and that's another reason why I like this car and this engine. The size of the car, it's huge. Like I say, it's in person it looks bigger than what it is on the cameras, but I got 63 point something MPG in this car, going down to see my partner down in Ellesmere, and whilst we were going back and to Liverpool, bearing in mind Liverpool was packed full of traffic and roadworks, the car achieved 47 to the gallon, which for a diesel, being a stop-start sort of thing, is really, really good, considering the size of the car and its power. Now obviously it isn't the best in terms of power, it's 136 brake, but the torque figures add up, and the car for its size does move pretty well. On to the next thing. The fourth thing I like about this particular car has to be the sensors on the windscreen. Now, often whilst I'm driving, I'm on the road wondering what's the speed limit, and this car will actually read the signs in front to remind you what the speed limit is. So the car pays more attention than the driver basically, but it's great because you can drive down the road, and there's sometimes I've had it before where I'm like, oh, what's the speed limit? I can't remember how fast you're supposed to go down this road, and the car will have it on its display to tell you what the speed limit of that particular road is. And if it doesn't know, it'll guess off the sat nav, which is great. But it also has automatic wipers, which means that obviously if it starts raining, the wipers will turn on for you. Now sometimes that can be a bit of annoyance because it really can't decide sometimes what speed to set it on, but it is quite handy, especially if it just instantly rains. The car will do it for you so that you don't distract yourself off the road, which is fantastic. And when you've got a car like this, where, you know, it's a large car, but when you hit rain, especially when you're on the motorway, which these cars commonly are, that's a really good feature. The fifth thing I like about this car is, although there are a few things I dislike about it, there's plenty of cubby spaces. You've got 2 cup holders at the front, you've got 2 cup holders at the back in this this armrest right there. You've got plenty of storage spaces. You've got a little fold out storage space right here, which just opens like so. So you just flick it back in two, which is very nice. You've got your armrest, which I have already mentioned, where you've got tons of space in there. In fact, I've just chucked loads of bits in there, to be quite honest with you. And you still got storage spaces up here. Now, there's one thing I dislike about the storage space. I will get to that in a minute. You got your hide away storage area, so you can hide it away. You have a small glove box. Again, I'll mention that after. But you've got plenty of storage space in your bins, and I love this little storage bit here. A lot of people wonder what it's for. Now, I find this particularly useful if you've got your mask in the car. Because obviously if you've got your mask in the car, sometimes you're trying to root in there trying to find out where your mask is. Whereas if I just use this as a demonstration, here's my mask, you just stuff it in there and it's just very easily there to reach. Very, very handy. Now, yes, the car will also honk at you as well if you've left your keys in the car for safety, which is another handy feature, because there have been times I've accidentally left the keys in the car and the car's locked itself, and we've had to smash the window to try and get into it. I've had many of my friends fall a cropper with that before, and luckily I won't be able to do that with this car because I've turned that off, the auto locking system. But it'll still honk at me to let me know I've left the keys in the car, or if I've left the engine running whilst I've closed the door and left the car. And now it's time for the 5 things I dislike about this car, which you guys are, well, there's going to be some of you critics out there that are going to tell me that I'm an absolute idiot for some things, and I'll agree with you, I am an idiot. But hopefully these are relevant reasons, and some of you guys might actually find this as true, especially if you are purchasing one of these cars in the future. There's not many things I dislike about it, but there are a few things that aren't up to scratch, basically. I'll start off with the most obvious one. Now, the Buick Regals, which these are what they're called in America, have a full-sized glove box. Now, yes, I get half of this is now French, but this is the glove box, and it's just ridiculously tiny. I can't even fit my hand properly in there because you've got this bulge here and this little slip there, and you've got your, obviously your fuses there as well, but you could just about fit, this is my lock and wheel nut key and the book in there just to close it. You can't fit anything else in there. I've tried fitting CDs in there, you can't fit them in there, and I suppose it's one of the things that, you know, I know a lot of people don't actually use their glove boxes, and many people just use it for rubbish anyway, so they're not really going to miss it. But I like a decent sized glove box, guys. I mean, I know you haven't got a CD player in this anymore, which is another thing. That's one thing you lose when you get a new car. In fact, the guy I bought this off said exactly to me that newer Vauxhalls these days, you're paying more for less, which is true, because you don't get a CD player. And I know there's a lot of people, including myself, that have CDs at home that I like to play that I can't encrypt on my computer, probably because I can't be bothered, but then again, that's my fault. But yeah, I would have liked a decent sized glove box. I wish Vauxhall GM would have designed a way for that to work like the Buick Regal, but obviously they didn't do that on this car. The second thing I dislike about this car, it's exactly the same thing as what was on my Astra. Now, I still hold by to this, even though a lot of people try to argue with me. The battery. How many brackets does it take to hold a battery down into a vehicle? Now, yes, okay, a battery can look a bit in your face sometimes, but then again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because to the unknown person, they could just go up to the car and then they can just change the battery or charge it even, or even jump start it off something. Now, the Astra had quite a few brackets on it, and I moaned about this in my last dislike video, saying that there's too many brackets to hold the battery in. My Vectra had one bracket holding the battery down to the pan. The Corsa has one bracket to hold the battery down to the pan with the way that it's ergonomically designed. This is, as what I would call, absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'm hoping this is the battery, and obviously that's just the positive part of it, because that can't be the battery, it looks too small, so it's got to be this, hasn't it? Now, call me a novice for this, As I said, you'll probably take the piss out of me after I've made this video, but that's obviously a jump point there, and then I presume it's under here as well, and obviously I don't want to touch it. But again, how many brackets does it take to hold a battery down? I'm assuming this is the battery because that's a battery pan there. So again, why? I don't understand the logic of it. Oh, there we are, there's the jump point. But again, even this plastic's just come off. You know, it's just, I don't understand why the battery has to be so hidden away in the car. You know, if it was in the boot, like BMWs, then fair enough, because you're liable to get water in there as well, but also, you know, it's a BMW, for example, you know, it's hidden in the boots anyways, but even they don't have daft covers around them. They have a bracket across it, which I get because it's rear-wheel drive, you know, it doesn't want to be slid about. But in a front-wheel drive, I don't get why this is really necessary. I suppose it's trying to make it more of a premium feel, but I don't know. Personally, I'm not a big fan with all these brackets in the way. I think that's just more work than what's necessary if you were to change a battery. What usually would take you 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes is now took into probably 20 minutes with that sort of thing. Especially considering your ECUs are right fucking there. Excuse my French. But that's pretty much the only qualm I have when it comes to something like that. My third issue with the car would also be the headlights. Now, the headlights are reasonably easy to change. I mean, this one here is nice and easy to change, and it's the same with the other side, except for one thing. To do this one on your left-hand side, is that there. Now, yeah, I could probably get enough room, perhaps, especially if I take that off. I might have enough room to fiddle around with this one, perhaps. But this one seems a bit more of a pain in the backside, same as if I move these. I might have enough room, it might not be too difficult, but to me, I think this could have been positioned just a little bit better, personally. But again, that's just the design of the car. Maybe that'll improve over time. I doubt it, because even the Mark V Astras, you know, we're talking about a good 15, 17 years ago now, still has that problem where you have to take the front bumper off to sort the headlights out. I suppose it's an easy thing. Maybe I've never done it, so it could be easier than I think. But again, that might be one thing that, you know, would piss me off over time. I mean, the Astra was a pain in the backside trying to do the bulbs on that. In fact, I was swearing at it, and I couldn't wait to get rid of it in the end because of the headlights, because the bulbs kept going. But I dread to think what this will be like. Maybe I'll just take it to a garage to get done just in case. But yeah, anyways, on to the next thing I dislike about the car. The fourth thing I dislike about the car, and you guys may agree, we are going to sit in the car for this one. Okay, so we're sat in the car and that is great. Now you're driving along, and especially if you're on a narrow street, you've got cars or people walking beside you. Now I have tried turning this down to its lowest setting to see if I can try and alter it so that it doesn't come on, but there doesn't seem to be a way of turning the bugger off. Now if you guys do know how to turn this off, please let me know, because I really would like to do that, because sometimes it makes me jump because I'm driving normally and it thinks I'm going to crash into another car. But this thing in the front of the windscreen here flashes red, makes a loud beep. The dash tells me I'm about to head into a collision, and sometimes the car will end up slowing itself down to prevent me from crashing into anything, even though I know what I'm doing. I get the idea of it, and if I was to turn the car on, see if I can do it now. So I'll just wait for it to set on a bit here. Now I can alter it. I can turn it down like this, collision alert, and that's got to be the lowest because that's further away. But I can turn it down and lower to that. And I've tried all sorts of different settings and it's all the same. It'll still beep at me, but there's no official way of really turning that off, and I can try as best as I can. But it's still, I still don't know how to turn the bugger off, because, I mean, I get it's there because of insurance purposes. Sometimes it is a legality thing now with your newer cars, it must have it. But I tell you what, that flashing light just seems a bit too aggressive for me. And when I'm driving down the road, especially if I'm, you know, there's a pedestrian on a walkway next to me, or a pavement next to me, should I say. Sounded a bit more American then. it'll detect the person along the side of the car, even though I'm nowhere near them. And it just sometimes it does bother me that, because especially when I'm driving down the road, I like it to be peaceful and I know what I'm doing. I get the cars that'll detect you having a crash, or when you are nearly near a crash, but that just seems a bit too aggressive. There we are, guys. So recently I've done 333 miles on 48.1 to the gallon, and the last 94 miles I've done 47.3 to the gallon, and that isn't treating it nicely either. That's my normal driving. So I haven't been driving it around like a granny either. I've just been enjoying the car, driving it around as I please. But yeah. So another thing I dislike with this car, I can turn this off now, is where you can put your key. Now, this is the key for the car. It doesn't go into the car to start it or anything like that. It's a wireless key basically, or it's a plugless key. But yeah, normally I'm struggling to find places where to put the key. Now when I first got the car, I noticed there is a key symbol right there, and if your car didn't want to start because your battery was dead, you can put your key on there and the car will start. The problem I find is this isn't enough to keep the key still. It still wobbles around anywhere really when you're driving. So I really dislike the way that the key, you know, I suppose you can leave it in your pocket and that's not a big thing, but I personally like to take my keys out of my pocket in case I lose them. It's just that sort of anxiety type of thing when you're driving your car. Have I left my keys in the car? Has the car locked itself? You want to know where the keys are. So I either leave them there in the cup holders, or I put them in this container here. I suppose I could put them in the door there, but even so, I think that would be a bit rattly anyways. But that's another thing with this car, is inside here there's no sort of felt in here to protect it from bashing along the sides, unlike my Astra, which it did have that. And as a bonus thing as well, other than just the key, you've also got the fact that to turn your automatic stop-start off, you have to turn it off every single time you turn the car on. So I could turn this off when I have the car on, and then I could turn it off, turn the car back on again, and it resets, and I have to keep pressing that off all the time to turn it off. So again, that's just a bonus thing I dislike about this car. So technically there's 6 things I dislike about the car, and that's more so to do with the electronics here. I wish you could just permanently turn it off, because I don't require it, I don't want it. I know it's there if I need it, I suppose, but you know, once I turn it off, I just want to turn it off, you know what I mean? But in terms of the driving of the car, it's great. I just wish you could put that somewhere, or plug it into somewhere, or even have a sufficient holder there for it so it doesn't fling around all the time. But otherwise, it's a lovely car. It is just an absolute lovely car. It's not too dark and dingy in here. There's something about the way that this car is. You know, I suppose it might be the roof lining and that saving grace, but also the fact the windows, which roll all the way down, rather than having them so they finish up to here. The car is really well built. Also guys, one more dislike that I dislike about the car that I've forgotten, is I can't help feeling that Vauxhall have gone backwards when it comes to the washer jets. Now I know my Astra had the fan blade washer jets, which I prefer, and some of the new cars have them as well, but the Insignia, for whatever reason, I've decided to go back at just your squirty jets. That's one thing I need to change in future, because I prefer my fan blades. So yeah, that's one more last nitpick about this car. Please don't think for a second that I'm hating on this car, because I know someone will comment on the end of this video saying, if you didn't like the car, why did you buy it? That was one of the comments I got last time on my other videos. And again guys, you know, I love this car. It is my baby. I'm going to keep it for many years. I'm going to have so much fun driving this car, and keeping it clean and doing bits and bobs to it here and there in the near future. You know, I mean, I've driven it quite a bit now, and I am absolutely loving driving it. It's such a nice car to drive. With it being a diesel, it's so much better on fuel, and the car in general, it's just comfortable. It is well built. It drives on the motorway superbly, no problems at all. And the fact I've got LED sun visors, the windows go all the way down, the tinted is standard, electrical assist, steering assist, follow the car in front. It's got all the toys and all the gear that I need. And for a car at this price point, I can't knock it, guys. I might knock some bad things about it, but for 12 grand for a 3-year-old car that has all of the toys, I really cannot complain. It is such a lovely car. I'm glad to even be at the age of 22, turning 23 in December. I'm glad to even own this car and also have a project car in a storage unit at the same time, my 1998 Corsa B. And it's all down to you guys at the end of the day. You know, I went into this channel thinking it's probably not going to last very long. The channel is slowly growing and I'm glad to be a part of Slipstreamers. If you don't know who Slipstreamers are, it's a new modified car group for all cars. You guys can all join on that page. It is linked in the description on most of my videos now. So why not become part of the team of Slipstreamers if you want to. The link is in the description, like I say. And if you like this video, guys, why not subscribe if you haven't already and click the bell icon if you want to be notified of my future videos. It's been a while since I've used the Rode Wireless Go, and I'm glad to be back using it again, to be fair, because it makes the audio quality so much better, especially when you've got traffic going back into here. It's always quiet around here, and I know there's a learner in front of me. Bless her, she's trying to learn whilst I'm making a video, and the car keeps beeping every time I get out of it after I've turned the car off. I mean, she's doing a tremendous job by the look of it. But again, thank you guys for watching this video, and thank you guys for the support as well. And I know I haven't made a video in the last couple of weeks. And you've been wondering what's going on with the Corsa. The Corsa will be coming back at an eventual stage. It's just trying to fathom some bits out to get it back road legal again and to get it MOT'd in October. And some other bits, but that'll be in an update video where I'll talk to you guys my plan about fuming and what we're going to do to fuming and when she's going to be back on the road. I've also got some other things I need to talk to you guys about, which I will discuss at another stage. So that's enough of me rabbiting. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and stay safe.
Going to say